This is The Unhappy Millionaire, where entrepreneurs and other top performers discover how to go beyond the bank balance to create thriving, joyful lives. For more, visit theunhappymillionaire.com. And now, on to the show. Tal, so I thought we could change up the format for a day. You recently gave a presentation helping people, or I guess a workshop helping people figure out what they wanted to do with their career, how to get more out of their career. But one part of it really intrigued me, which is what you get out of your career as the CEO of a nonprofit educational institution. And I've seen it from the inside. I've worked with a lot of CEOs, but the level of joy that you take in your work is extremely inspiring. And so I wanted to drag out lessons from you that I think will be of interest both to CEOs who have a kind of unique ability to shape the kind of work they do. But I think that there's wider lessons. I think we can all learn something, including that we probably have more control over our work, even if we report to other people than we think we do. So how does that sound?
Yeah, we are all CEOs, as I say, little CEOs. It sounds great. I did that workshop because people asked for it. It was called Finding the Work You Love, because I found that people have misconceptions about the relationship between them and their job.
Let me start with a softball then. Paint a picture just how you think about your role and what success looks like in that role. Because as somebody who's not a CEO, my first inclination would be success would be predominantly defined or maybe solely defined in terms of I'm trying to achieve the success of my company. So how do you think about what you're trying to achieve as a CEO?
First, let me just say that what's the difference between being a VP, a director, a manager, junior person in the company? All of us have managers. I report to people. I report to the board. So I think it's just the level of where you are according to your experience and what you find interesting. Some people should not be CEOs. My goal in my role is to make me happy. That's, I think, what people don't understand. I'm not there for other people. I'm there for me. And that brings a whole different perspective to what am I trying to achieve? I'm trying to make myself happy. I'm trying to wake up every day and do what I want to do to make myself the happiest I can be. Now, what does that mean? How do I make myself happy? I find meaning. The thing that really drives everything at the center of my experience and has effects on other parts of my life, the self-esteem I get, of course, the money I have, is through that. So meaning is at the center of what I'm trying to find. And that drives me. And meaning for me comes from finding purpose in the work that I do. It's the best motivator of what I do. Feels like I'm finding arrows or an arrow to start with that leads my life to a direction through activities that lead towards outcomes that I find meaning in. And it really defines in a way who I am. If somebody asks me today, hey, Tal, tell me a little bit about yourself. Or you even see if you meet someone new, how quickly do they ask you, hey, what do you do? Because what do you do is part of who you are. So for me, my work is about me. My work is about what I do. And through finding the purpose in the aspects that I find meaningful in my job, I feel like I'm very high on purpose and meaning in my job because I chose it. And this job is exactly what I would imagine me doing at any given point in my life because it includes everything that I find meaning in. But you don't have to be there to find meaning in your job. You don't have to be the CEO of the nonprofit organization that promotes the ideas that you deeply believe in to find meaning in your job. No, it can be done in any level, and you don't have to be a CEO to do that. So the purpose of my work is to make myself happy. Now, how do I make myself happy? I find the meaning, I find the purpose, and that is then translated to an attitude towards what I'm trying to achieve because it's a virtuous circle. If I see myself achieve the things that express and concretize the values that I'm here to do that bring the purpose, then it's a virtuous cycle because it increases the purpose, increases the meaning, increasing my confidence in myself to do that job. And then from that confidence, I build an attitude of I'm not afraid to fail. I try new things. There's a lot of creativity involved. I take risks, which produces results. And the confidence that I have brings me the attitude that says, hey, guys, I want more money. and I get the more money that I want. And that brings back, so I feel like it's a cycle and I am in the middle. It's me in the middle driving everything.
So let's then delve for a moment then a little more into purpose. I think the way purpose is often seen as this is something given to you. Did you ever read The Purpose-Driven Life by, I forget his name, but he's a leading Christian preacher. When you say choosing work with purpose, how do you hold that purpose? What does it look like to have a purpose? How does somebody know if they have one, I think is the question I'm groping for.
I think it's such an important subject because I was taught that purpose lies in outside of me. It's defined by God. It's defined by what society needs. How can you do better for other people? What the world needs from you. I just talked to a student who said, just before I read Atlas Shrugged, I thought that I'm going to be an environmental engineer because the world needs to be saved from a climate perspective. Yeah, that's what we're taught. That meaning is external to us. And what I found in Ayn Rand that was so powerful is that Sunday I understood is that, wait, I don't need to serve anyone. I need to search in me the evidence of what are the things that I find meaning in. And that requires introspective skills. But once I started that internal journey, all the arrows pointed to a very troubling fact, which is I'm not into software. Why am I working in software? It's about ideas. It's about being on stages, talking. It's about changing people's minds. It's about making them happier. I found that within that, I'm less interested in politics. I'm more interested in the psychology of people. This is why I'm doing the happiness team workshops now. This is how you find meaning. And the society confuses you by externalizing the idea and the concept of purpose and meaning. So it's a process by which I integrate what my company is about and what I am about. And I try to find the place where those two things align. Now, again, let's take someone who's working for a finance team as a junior, just came out of finance school, and they give you like research to do all day, and you want to trade. And so you take your first job and you say, what do I find interesting here? Why did I even start in finance? I love the trade. I love making money. I love to analyze the graph and so on. Now they asked me to do research on some companies. So you can see the connection between what you're doing right now, which is not to trade, but how that was going to lead you to trading and I don't know, I don't understand much about, but to the trade floor and see your bosses and your boss's bosses, what they do. And you even find meaning in things that are not 100% what it is that you want to do because you see the arrow pointing in the right direction. I gave a talk about you hear the dragon rustling behind the bushes, making sounds. So you don't have to slay the dragon right now. You just need to follow the dragon, which is your passion. So even if you're doing something as a junior person, starting in a company, find the meaning in thinking about how that leads me to things that I find interesting. What is the overlap between what I can do? Now, if there are parts into your job that you love and parts of your job that you really don't like, still the meaning that you'll find will bring motivation to the things you don't like. I always give the examples like, do you change the diapers to your baby? Yeah, of course you do. Why? Because you love the baby. So you change the diapers because you love the baby. And you do all the things that are required because you love the baby. So if you find the meaning in your job, you do everything required, including the things you don't like. And yeah, I don't know, writing reports or
budgeting is the one at the top of my mind. I love my job. I don't like budgeting, but that's changing the baby's diapers for sure.
And you know what I find is that if you communicate to your surroundings, to your boss, to your colleagues, those are the things I enjoy and I excel at. Those are the things I don't like. You will be pulled because you're going to show what you're good at. And we could talk about how I manage with that attitude, understanding that every person that works for me is there for themselves, not for me, not for the organization, for themselves. This is how my attitude towards organizing people. So yeah, there's a lot to be said about finding purpose. It's internal, it's yours. You have to define it and you have to integrate it with what it is that you're doing. If you cannot find any motivation, any purpose in the work you're doing, change it.
The sentence from Ayn Rand that I really love here is that production as an activity, she puts it as it's reshaping the earth in the image of your values. And for me, I'm working to make the world more shaped by the ideas of Ayn Rand, but she's not only talking at the level of your deepest philosophic values. If you're a video game maker, I love really exciting shooter games, and I think the ones we have now are garbage, and I'm going to make one even better. You're making your world more like the world that you want to live in, and that's what you're looking for to derive your purpose then is what kind of world do I want to live in, and what do I want to contribute to making that real?
Exactly. It's the fuel we are running on when we're creating is purpose and finding meaning. Well, it actually starts with finding meaning. And then finding meaning in things gives you combined but by your vision that you just talked about of what can I do with it? What kind of activity and creation can I bring? That creates the purpose. It creates, for me, when you say the word purpose, I imagine an arrow. For me, it's an arrow. It points in a direction. And then the arrow points into what I want the world to look like when I achieve my goals. And that's how I think about working in an organization. The organization is a vehicle for me to cooperate with other people to make more impact about shaping the world in my image.
So I want to delve into some of the more specifics, but maybe we can talk about a global level. There's radically different styles of CEOs, and I don't just mean styles maybe not capturing what I have in mind, but where do they put their focus? Do they build a role that's primarily about structuring the teams and making, you can think of like the Tim Cook at Apple, like I'm making this a fine-tuned machine for profitability, versus you could think about more of the artist CEO of a Steve Jobs, where he delegates that to his underling Tim Cook, and he's focused more on the vision for Apple of amazing products, and that's where his kind of passion goes. How do you think about just designing the role of CEO in a way that, let's say, serves your happiness in the best way possible? How do you figure out, what do I want to do in this role?
I think that CEOs are chief purpose officers. They need to give everyone the reason why to work for them and to buy their products. They are the people who are steering the ship, and they're responsible for the creation of value in the world. So if you think about, every company is a big ship trying to steer the waters of creating value in the world. How do you do that? First, you need a product vision. You need to create something and you need to communicate to the world, this is important or this is better, right? It's going to make your life better. And it has a lot to do with defining the product and the product value, the marketing, the sales processes of getting people to understand and then purchase your product. But I think on a deeper level, you want the right people to work for you. How are you going to attract the right people? You're going to convince them that working the culture that you're creating inside that organization is the place that's going to bring them meaning. So you need to sell the vision, the product of what the world would look like to your employees. If you think about what I do, I sell externally and I sell internally all the time. Guys, this is what we're going to do. This is how the world's going to look like in 3 years. This is how it's going to work like in 10 years if we succeed. I always think about the horizon. I am the chief horizon officer. I am the person who is saying to everybody on this ship, this is why you should stay on my ship, because we're going there. Look how amazing the island we're going to get to. So I'm always thinking as a CEO about, and it needs to happen on all level, by the way, I believe it's not just on CEO level. This is what we're doing. This is the reason why we're here. This is what success looks like. This is why it's important. This is why you guys should be motivated. If somebody's not motivated here about this, then we have a problem. Not that they have a problem. It's just maybe I have a problem because I haven't sold. And maybe a word about how I select people and how I promote people, how I organize people. I don't organize for a hierarchical, triangle-shaped organizational structure. This is for armies, okay? And armies are not companies. They're something completely different. I've been to an army. We're not armies of people. We're a voluntary organization. And when you add free will to an organization, what you find is what you need to do, you need to optimize for meaning for your employees. Because they are all little CEOs driving their own lives, I need to make sure that everyone in the organization are in the right place, feeling that they are contributing, and the integration of who they are and what is required in their job is there. Right now, as we're recording this, I have an employee who's amazing. highly productive, and there's no alignment between what she is supposed to be doing and what she wants to do. Slowly, her job drifted to a point where she says, "That's not what I want to do." A lot of employees won't even tell you. They'll just accumulate frustration and then they will just leave. And it's your job to know through the ranks and interviews who's not happy and why. And sometimes they will tell you exactly what they're not happy. And what you find is not that just they're not happy. Everybody around them, including their customers that they serve, are not happy because something is wrong. There's not enough purpose. There's not enough alignment. And alignment is a big thing because if you don't communicate where we're going, then people are looking in different directions. And that's where things are really messed up. So I insisted that we meet one-on-one until I understand what it is that she wants to do next. Now, if what she wants to do next does not align where the ship wants to go, she has developed a different arrow that is pointing in a different direction, I will be the first to tell her, go be happy somewhere else. And I've let A players go to start their own companies, to do their own things, because I don't want anyone on my ship pointing in a different direction or slowing down the ship, which they will do if they're not rowing as fast as they can forward.
I'm curious, and maybe this is too tactical, but I can't resist asking. One of the challenges of leadership is precisely what you said, getting that information. You have a lot of people who want to impress you, they want to protect their jobs, and you need to know what's going on, including what's going on internally with them. Are they satisfied? Are they really passionate about it? How do you, as somebody trying to lead an organization, ensure that you're getting the right information, including information that maybe you don't want to hear, but you know you need to hear?
It's an amazing question because it's a tactic that I apply that people don't pay attention to. If you talk to a friend and it's like, how is it going? And like the minute they open their mouth, the way they move, the level of energy they have in their voice, the speed in which they talk, the tonality of their voice will immediately show you the level of how they think about this question. And if it's a yes, I'm happy, or no, things are not going well. You can sense that in seconds. So when I'm talking to employees, first I'm very interested. I call people out of nowhere. Yesterday I was walking outside and I was like, I haven't talked to this employee for a while. So I just called them and like, hi, what's up? And I surprised them. And I like to surprise them because I want to get them genuine, not prepared and try to put on a show. And I genuinely listen and ask them open-ended questions of like, hey, what are you working on? And then within 10, 20, 30 seconds, sometimes I can figure out, are they in a good place? Are they working on something they find meaning in? Are they frustrated about something? If so, I poke into it. It's like, oh, okay, so why did you have this argument with this person? And what was it about? What did you guys disagree about? Be their friend for a little while and understand, are they happy? Are they getting satisfaction? By the way, I get inspired and I get purpose from talking to other people in the organization because they show me more understanding of what it is that we're working on. For instance, we're developing a mobile app, and there are real issues in developing the mobile app. And by understanding the issues of developing the mobile app, I understand what it means to row the ship to the direction I want, and all the friction and all of the challenges we have. So I derive meaning out of talking to a developer about what it means to apply and to concretize the vision that I want. And then sometimes it clarifies for me, okay, so are we going to be more technical, less technical? How much are we going to invest in technology? And it allows me to deepen my understanding of our mission. So it's the same thing. We're all humans. We're all looking after the same. We're all looking for happiness. And all there is in an organization is, am I helping them steer their lives towards more meaning and happiness?
So what are some of the obstacles you've encountered in making this role one that you love?
A lot of obstacles. First, when you go into a new job, the first obstacle you have is you don't understand the job and you don't understand how you're going to integrate with it. And I think people underestimate how much you are the job. It doesn't matter what the title says. If you took a title that says CPA and you don't like budgets, the probability of you finding meaning in that role is going to be very, very low. Although I'm sure that if I forced you to work in a budgeting department, John, you will find something to attach yourself to, but I don't recommend it. So the first obstacle is understanding your environment, understanding what it is about. I can tell you that the job I'm doing right now looks nothing like my predecessor. He did the job, he had the same title for the same organization, and he was doing something completely different. Every day that he woke up, he did something 100% different than how I do it. Why? Because I've learned the job, I've understood what success means in that job, and then I applied myself. So it's an integration of two things: the purpose of what the job is, what needs to get done, and me. And then the job emerges. It emerges as integration of who I am and what needs to be done. And then you try to get the freedom, and if you don't have supporting managers, you should, again, think about where you are, where you say, this is the way I'm going to do this. Now, I understand my bosses, I understand what they need, and I apply myself into what they need. The reports, the quarterlies I present to them, the employees around me, my executive team, the directors, the employees, what do they need? So I apply myself, like for instance, we do all hands meeting every other week. That is a mechanism that I've created to say, my employees are saying that they don't understand what's going on. How can I take responsibility for that? Oh, so I like presenting. I'll present to them every other week. And that creates a vehicle where they're happy to know what's going on, how I'm thinking about what's going on in the organization. And then I added more employees to share with others what they're working on. And suddenly there's an aspect of my job that is something I've created and brings value to everybody around me. So the obstacle is learn the job and what it actually function, what are you trying to create in it, and then who am I? And that requires a lot of self-knowledge, and then integrating it together. And that's where your daily routine emerges into something that combines both. That is, I would say, the first obstacle. There are many other obstacles, like you need to understand again, like I said, the people around you, who they are as human beings, what are they looking to see? What kind of meaning do they find? I need to understand the people who pay me money, what's in it for them. It took me a long time, by the way. It took me about a year and a half to figure out what are the people that are paying me money for. And it's not just an organization that inspire people philosophically. It's also like, why are they buying this water bottle? What is it that makes them buy this one and not the competition? Or why are they not buying my water bottle? Why are they buying the competition? So there's a lot of obstacles. It's mainly obstacles of learning and dealing with irrationality is a big obstacle. You have to, and I have dealt with a lot of irrationality in my career. And when I see irrationality, some people will say I was, I don't know how to call it, but I fired people very, very quickly. It's like, okay, it's not going to work. You're not the type of person I want to work with. I didn't say that. That's this way. I usually translate that. You're not in the right place. You're not finding meaning here. It's not the right environment for you. You need to go find it somewhere else. And that's how we talk to people that I think are not happy or show some kind of traits that I don't want to work with. So there are a lot of obstacles, but I'll stop there.
One of the most intriguing things that I saw on your slide, and you touched a little bit in this early in the conversation, the slide from your workshop, when you're defining what success looks like for you as a CEO, you said, I don't have to worry about failing. But then there's a parentheses, anymore. And so that's something people struggle with. How did you get any more?
Yeah, I used to worry a lot about failing. I think bad environments of work make sure that you're afraid of failing. They actually nurture that fear by all kinds of penalties and rewards it's like, are you going to do this? If you're going to do this, then we're going to pay you money. If not, you're going to be, I don't know, fired, demoted. And bad managers always talk about in the end of the quarter, the 10% who are going to perform at the lowest level are going to get fired. So make sure you're not in the bottom. That's not motivation. That's motivation by fear, not motivation by love. Anymore is because I found who I am. I don't negotiate anymore. That is the first-handed approach that I found in Howard Roark from the Fountainhead. He gave me the moral certainty that says, screw everything. The world is here for me. I'm not here for the world. And nobody's going to tell me what to do anymore. I'm done being afraid. Now, it took me a long time to kick out the fear out of me, the anxiousness out of me. But I have to say, Rand gave me Rourke to look at and to think about. And a lot of people say that, but I was one of them. What would Rourke do here? And Rourke helped me kick out the fear, and the fear of failing, the fear of doing the wrong things, the fear of disappointing people, the fear of having people say bad things about me. It's the fear of, I don't care what people think about me. That was one of my big things. I don't care about it anymore. Yeah, I just heard somebody told me, a friend came in, knocked on my door. I've heard a meeting and they said you did this and that. I was like, I don't care. I used to care a lot. I used to carry that in my mind for days and weeks. What do people say? Why did he say that? Not anymore. If you want to really learn, because there's a lot of assumptions I'm making here, the way I describe my relationship to my work, Don, and that is, I'm here for me. And that it's easy to say, it's hard to practice. Are you really there for you? Because that requires you to know a whole world of things about what you means. What does that mean, being you? Again, that book changed my life forever. The minute I closed that book, I remember the feeling is like my life is never going to go in the same direction, because it started a process in me that is now directing me in a completely different way. And I have no idea where it's going to lead me. But I knew it's a start of a process of self-discovery. And through that process, I will find out or figure out what are the things I want to be doing, which is not, I knew that it was not the things I was doing back then.
Maybe that leads to a good place to end it, because you made the point of, are you really here for me? And you talked about the fountainhead. And the fountainhead is really interesting in that you have a character who seems very dedicated to his work, and he seems here for me. He's trying to rise through the ranks, and that's Peter Keating. And I think even people who aren't Peter Keatings, who aren't just out to impress others, it's really easy to fool yourself about, am I here for me? Especially if you're not CEO and you're thinking, oh, well, I've got to pay my dues to get to this point. When I get to this point, then I'll be able to enjoy myself. Then I'll be able to get the reward of happiness. But right now I'm focused on head down, paying the price. And that's often how it's taught. Like, hey, kid, you can worry about you when you've proven yourself. How do you think about being here for me, not just in the future, but throughout the whole process of building your career?
This is why I'm so passionate about teaching younger people what the function of life is. What does success look like in life? It's about you. I had the discussion with my daughter when she came out of the Israeli army, and she was a little lost about where does she want to go. And we had a set of discussion that I'm so happy we had, because she started going in the direction of like, but I need to make money. And I said, no, it's not about that. I need to have fun. It's not necessarily about that. So what is it about? And it's very challenging when you're young, because you don't really know to answer the question, who am I? It's a process of discovery that happens through work. And that's the challenge of being self-centered and first-handed when you're young, because some people do not have the architecture to be passionate about. It's really a process of self-discovery. And I want to say something about the fact that there are no real life Howard Rourke's and Peter Keatings. We're all a mix or something. It's like you can say some traits, I'm more like this and more like that in some aspect. I try to make everybody around me more Rourke and less Keating. How do I do that? By asking them the right questions, by guiding them. I'll give you an example. I had an employee that came in as a very junior person. I asked him, what do you want to be? He said, a history teacher. I said, oh, great. What are you going to work on? Some kind of project management. 2 months later, what are you doing? It's like, I really love this. This aspect of project management, I really love. I'm gravitating towards technology. Then another person came into the organization who was very high on technology, and they completely bonded. And then 6 months later, it's like, what do you want to do? I want to work here doing this, developing those things. It's like, where's the history teacher? Gone forever. I don't want to be a history teacher anymore. I want to develop products and manage products through technology and learning technology. This is a self-discovery of a young person who had a hypothesis of, I want to be a history teacher. And then a year later, there's no history and no teacher in his domain. It's all about, because I let him discover, and I said, go do whatever you find interesting, especially in the junior levels. You are trying to find talent. The way I manage young people is like, come in, you have no title, go search. And people are like, what do you mean? We just hired someone And I called the manager and said, look, here's a very talented young person. I met her. She's amazing. She's super smart. And what does she do? She's a student. She's a student for this and that. Hire her. To do what? I don't know. And then you tell me what she needs to do in 3 months. And that's how it starts. And in 3 months, they usually call me. It's like, oh my God, they're amazing. Doing what? And they will tell me. And that's how you find talent. That's how you nurture talent. And you do that even with older people. They assume new responsibilities. You see what they're good at. You just told me, we work together. So this is why I told you when we met, find yourself a project manager. Let them do all the things you don't want to do, because I want you to excel in the areas you excel in and derive as much enjoyment. But you do have to change the diapers.
I'm Don Watkins. He's Tal Safani, and this has been The Unhappy Millionaire. Ready to take the next step in your journey? Visit theunhappymillionaire.com, where you can find powerful resources for building a life that you love and details on how you can work with Tal and me.